at 12:30. And my next question, this is actually, well, like I said, I explained to the listeners what an alderman is, right? And how the seat originated prior to you getting here. Right. I didn't want you to get into all that. But what I do want to clear up is the seats held for aldermen. Are they, this isn't a Democratic or Republican type race that you're in right now?
Technically not. Technically the position of an alderperson is a nonpartisan position, meaning it is, not Democratic, not Republican. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure the office of the mayor, is a nonpartisan position as well. But, at the end of the day, when it comes to issues, that's where the tug becomes, whether it's, moderate, progressive, Democrat, Republican, and whatnot. So, but no, it's a nonpartisan position.
Okay, I'm glad. I wanted to make sure to clear that up for everyone who's been asking that question. So now, what's the perimeter of the 6th Ward?
The perimeter in regards to the demographics. So the 6th Ward on the south end, the furthest south it goes is to 95th Street, which is new through the new remap. Okay. And that goes from basically King Drive to the Expressway, which is the Dan Ryan Expressway. Coming down to 87th Street, it extends from 87th Street goes from basically Cottage Grove to the Expressway. But on the north end of the ward, it goes down basically to like 65th, 66th, 66th, 67th Street in some parts. The further east it goes is to Cottage Grove, and the further west it goes is to Halsted. Okay. And that's in like the 70s. It used to extend much further west, all the way down to actually like Bishop and some of the streets. But throughout the new remap. So that's, it. For the most part, that's the parameters, that's the boundaries of the 6th Ward right now. So it encompasses a number of communities within that.
Okay. Now these are questions from the audience. What are the biggest challenges facing the 6th Ward? And what would you say you have as a solution?
Absolutely. So let me say this. I would say, depending upon who you talk to, like I said, to answer your question just about the parameters and what this. So if I'm able to identify specific neighborhoods on the south end, that community right south of 95th Street, that's like what's called Chesterfield, a historic, middle class, working class community. Chesterfield, you have Chesterfield, West Chesterfield. Coming just north of that, then you have what's Chatham, which is basically where I live, and then just north of Chatham you have Park Manor, Grand Croston. West of that, you have a slight part of West Chatham, a small part of Auburn Gresham, and you have Inglewood that's a part of that. And the reason I mentioned that is because the difference in neighborhoods, it's an array of, depending upon where you live, people see the challenges, a little bit differently. If you live by, say, 87th Street and the Dan Ryan Expressway, which is right adjacent to that, you have a Jewel, you have a Lowe's, you have those different things. They feel a little different maybe on the Inglewood side. If you can kind of get what my point is. But the issue that I think that relates to all communities that I described is what I've been hearing is public safety and crime. Public safety and crime is something as a father. I have a 12-year-old daughter that, I live in the ward with. Crime has been like the number one issue throughout the ward. So that's been one of the number one things because that's a quality of life issue. Right. Crime is something that people, it impacts whether you can go to the store, what time you can get gas, so crime has been the number one issue, I think, that I've heard from residents of the 6 wards throughout the entire ward. So crime. And then to answer your second part of your question, my solutions for that. which is always it's a loaded answer to that. We always get asked that. But I do think one of the first steps is acknowledgement. But I think it's a short-term, vision for crime and public safety, and there's a long-term vision for crime and safety. My personal philosophy, and I tell people this when I'm out canvassing and knocking on doors, I say, we have to sow better seeds if we're going to reap better harvests. If we want to see something different on 95th, 87th, 83rd, 69th, 79th, 71st Street, then we have to look at, we don't like what's happening outside, we have to look at what's happening in that incubation period. And what I'm referring to is we have young people and we have to kind of look at what we're doing with them. A lot of crimes is being committed, whether it's carjackings, whether it's shootings, whether it's killings. These is happening with young people. City data and statistics says the average age of a shooter in this city is 15 years old. And for the last 14 years, I've been working with young people. I think, I kind of get an understanding of, what's happening with these families. And I don't think it's a trick question. It's we have to invest more. We have to, and this is directly related. Let's not lose sight. This is directly related to public safety, but this is more on the long term. We have these meetings and these young people aren't even there. They're not even involved in the process. They don't even get a seat at the table. But we have to invest more. Right now at the state level, if I'm not mistaken, the state of Illinois spends about $40,000 per year to house an inmate. But right now, the city of Chicago, we invest about $15,000 a year to educate a student. That should not be. We have to have common sense entities and resources for our young people. I tell people education inequality, I think, is like the civil rights issue of our time. We have to get people, let me, and I'm glad that's why I'm here to kind of expound upon that. Working in education, I've taught social emotional learning. What do you mean when I say investment? We have to invest in social emotional learning that's relatable to our young people. We have to put things in front of them that they understand. That's what's going to be impactful. We spend thousands and thousands of dollars in education. We give our money to companies that create things that's not impactful with our young people. It's just like that school, that textbook you had. We had textbooks that was written by people that don't understand our people. So we have to invest in curriculums that are relatable and impactful with our young people. That's what I mean, investment. We have to have things in place. For example, another plan. This is in the short term. I would love to see the expansion of our Safe Passage program. I don't think just an hour after school is enough to have that. We have a system in place, but I think that expansion of it can have a great impact, in our community from a public safety impact. What do you mean? The same people, the same route. Let's invest in having them outside more. Let's have that same program out in the summer. We have to have people that are present in our community. When residents come home and they go in their houses and close their doors, that just gives space for crime to run rampant. So we have to invest in common sense things. So, we have to invest in our young people. We have to invest in our young people. We have to give our young people different tools and things. I serve on a local school council at Ruggles Elementary, which is right in Chatham. And I was a part of that school becoming what's considered a STEAM school now, where we're teaching our young people science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. And it was a very proud moment. That STEAM distinction came with a $3 million grant. And we celebrated at Ruggles. It was a big to do. But it also gave me a perspective. I had to look around and I said, well, the schools right down the street, they don't have that. Their young people deserve the same thing. Their young people deserve to be taught engineering. They should have access to, robotics and different things. So why don't all of our young people have those elements? Why don't all of our young people have, access to psychologists, psychiatrists, therapists, social workers? Chicago Public Schools just had they fought during their last contract renewal to have one social worker per school, because we have social workers that were spread out over 5 or 6 schools, through the trauma that they're facing. And it's still not enough right now. So we have to invest more. If we don't invest more, is going to continue to happen. We have to invest more
Into
in our
the
young
youth.
people. Yes. And our seniors. We have to educate and engage our seniors more. They have a big part to play. Our seniors are our number one voting demographic.
Mm-hmm.
And they have to be engaged more about what's going on, how to protect themselves, what they need to do to protect themselves, and how we can protect them more. You know, if they just go in the house and they're afraid to open their doors, then we don't know how to help them. So it's that piece. So it's a number of different pieces for my public safety plan. Also, you know, I would like to actually, you know, I've been telling people, it's something that I came up with that's called Protected Class Initiative. And that Protected Class Initiative means our young people, which is our children and our seniors, they are to me a protected class. They are our most vulnerable. Mm-hmm. We have to do more to protect our young people and our seniors. And I would like to introduce ordinance that says, hey, it's just like outside of every school, it's just like they have those big yellow signs up that say, you know, safe school zones or drug-free zone. If you get caught, it's one thing to sell drugs, right? But if you got caught selling drugs like 100 feet within a school, it was an additional penalty.
Right.
Well, I would like to introduce ordinance that says it's going to be an additional penalty if you carjack a senior. It's still a crime, and you're going to still be, you know, prosecuted with that. But we have to have things that's going to, you know, give an additional penalty. We have to do things that's going to make young people think twice.
Right.
You know, so I say it should be an additional penalty if you commit a crime against a young person. You know, we have to work, of course, with our district councils that's coming. We have to work with our law enforcement that exists. You know, we have to have that whole community piece, but we also have to have things in place that's going to make young people think twice while also providing them the resources that they need, because it's one thing to preach to them and yell at them and talk to them, and they're going to say, but I don't have opportunity. Mm-hmm. So these are things I think that's going to have a great impact on public safety.
Okay. I like that. Okay. So another question I had was, okay. So now let's talk about, because you covered schools, you covered improvement in schools, you covered how to engage the community. Or do you feel like you covered how to engage the community?
I didn't cover that.
The question says, how can you engage the community and make them feel a part of the solution?
Well, so let me say this. The work of an alderman is not an easy job. You know, people think it's easy. You know, first of all, perception, you know, is in front of anything, you know. And the perception is people look at you as a leader, rightfully so, as if like almost that you can resolve anything, or like no matter what happens, people are going to look at leadership. You know, so the alderman carries that. But in fact, it's the community that really drives things. Mm-hmm. So as the alderman, if I want to be a successful alderman, and any alderman that I think is considered a successful alderman, they found ways to engage the community. You have to find ways to engage the community. And you have to be creative. You have to reimagine. It's not just going and, you know, having giveaways. We have to have people that are active. So coming from the schools, working in schools the last 12 years, we incentivize everything. You know, if you got perfect attendance, you might could go to the zoo.
Right.
You know, if you do good on the spelling test, you know, you would get that piece of her certificate. Mm-hmm. We incentivize everything. So as a leader in city council, I say, listen, I would like to incentivize the organizing of block clubs. Okay. I would like to give an incentive. I would like to say, if this block on that block or this block, if you guys can come together and organize, I want to have an incentive for that. You know, I can't say today what that incentive would be, but just the idea and thought to say, hey, the money and resources is there. What are we doing with it? I want to incentivize block clubs forming, because when you do that, now we are connective. Now we can connect this block with that block. Mm-hmm. Now we have an understanding of what's going on. And I've seen some great block clubs, but it's few and far between, not enough. Mm-hmm. We have to incentivize. And then, you know, you have some areas that say, well, we good over here, but they really not, because what happens on one end impacts what happened on the other. So the number one job for me from day one is not really going to be getting an ordinance passed. It's not any of that. It's going to be working in the community and connecting with the community and engaging with the community and letting them know that they have the say. They have the power to hire and fire their leadership. but they have to feel involved. And I want them to know that anything that I do is participatory. From my budgeting, is participatory. I want them to have a seat at the table. And when people feel like they have a seat at the table, then they're more likely to be active.
Right.
And that's what I want people to understand and know. When I see people, they don't, right now, the 6th Ward have about 33,000 active registered voters. And for municipal elections, only 10,000 on average come out. It's 23,000 people that are registered to vote that don't come out. And when you talk to them, it's because they feel like the game is set. They feel like it won't, but I want people to understand that they have to come out and be a part of what's going on. So that's a big part of my style and my form of leadership, is letting them know. It's not about me. I feel good when other people be a part of things.
Right. You spoke strongly just a minute ago about seniors and about how you would put a play together for it to be like additional trouble or consequences for hurting a senior, that type of thing.
Protected class initiative is what I call it. If you ever hear anybody mention it, they stole it from me, because I don't know nobody. It's just, to me, it's common sense. I was raised by my I won't say I was raised. I was partially raised. I grew up in a family building, which was my grandfather's building. He owned a 6 flat. My grandparents lived below me, so they was there every day. They have they played a big part of who I am today. Seniors play a big part in the family structure, in the lives of everybody. We have to do a better, they are elderly. We all hope to become that senior one day.
Correct.
So we have to protect them. They have a unique experience. They have knowledge and wisdom beyond what we can even imagine. So, they are at the top to me. Seniors are at the top. And I'm not just saying that because they vote the most. They do. But they also, at the same time, they're some of the most misinformed.
Right.
Because they don't be on social media. They ain't opening their doors. And I think, politics takes advantage of that. I'm not, so we have to have a great outreach. We have to have them a part of the plan. Singers are also singers are unique. I love my singers. And I plan to be, really engaged with my singers.
Okay. And so what's your exact message to the singers today? If you had to address the seniors in the 6th Ward right now, what would you say to them? So
I'll start by saying this. I would not be running, for alderman if it wasn't for the seniors, just specifically even on my block. I think on my block I'm probably the youngest homeowner, and my right across from me, my seniors is right across from me. He worked for different elected officials. He's been on that block 43 years. He did different things in Chicago State. He worked for different congressmen and different people. I learned from him. My senior to my left, she's in real estate, successful property owner. She's been on that block 45 years. The senior. Oh, wow. So they say, listen, we need you to come represent us. So I wouldn't be running if it wasn't for seniors. As A. B, what I would say to the seniors of the community is, I value, the perspective that seniors have. I value, to me, let me say this, and I don't want to sound like anybody, even in my job professionally, I give everybody respect, from the janitor to the CEO. I look at everybody the same. But when you see somebody that's, and I feel like I've been through a few things, but when you see somebody that's up in the age, I can just imagine what they've been through. So that means something. They stood. I'm a person, I share this with people. This kind of goes back to my why. I've lost my mom and my father. Unfortunately, to different ailments. I lost my mom when I was 24. My mom passed from cancer, and I carry that in a sense. It's a negative because you never want to lose somebody like that. But it's part of my experience and helped shape who I am. But when you stood over a person that was that close to you, it gives you a different perspective of the life that you're living. And if I feel like I can have that perspective, then I know our seniors have a valuable one as well. So we have to, my number one message to them is we have to find ways to engage with them. Not just in regards to bingo, not just in regards to turkey giveaways for Thanksgiving. We have to engage them in the solutions. You know, they have a valuable voice and they deserve a seat at the table. And how I do that, the number one thing that I feel like that we have to do is the same effort that we put into engaging with seniors during election time is the same type of engagement that we have to have with our seniors throughout the ward, throughout the duration. So if we're making touches, you know, okay, and I mean, seniors, again, they don't have access to, you know, digital and social media. So whether it's knocking on doors, we have to have that same level of engagement with them.
Okay.
And that's what I plan to do as a elected official, as an alderman of the 6th Ward.
So now I want to talk about business. It's two questions that came up with business. The first one was person wants to open a business. It's a vacancy on the 9. And this person sees that there's a vacancy on 79 and they would like to open a business. What, as the alderman of 6th Ward, what do you plan to do to get a new business to feel safe coming into the 6th Ward to open up a new business?
That's the key, and that's again, that's why things are
or comfortable, not just safe, but just, I'm sorry, not to cut you out, but just comfortable in general. Like, not skip, just, we don't want them to skip over 6th Ward and go to whatever, Oakland.
Absolutely. And again, businesses are the backbone of communities. You know, small businesses, you know, keeping that dollar. I went into a restaurant yesterday, just yesterday on 75th Street, and the guy who took my order lives on my block. He said, "You running for alderman?" And I you know, because sometimes, you know, we don't always recognize people. Oh, yeah, okay, I knocked on his door. So incentivizing businesses to come to the 6th Ward is one of the number one things I would like to do. And when I say incentivize, I want to use every tool that the office has to incentivize small businesses to come to the 6th Ward. There are some amazing small businesses and businesses that's currently in the 6th Ward. But as a plan, you know, the plan that I would have is this. We have to utilize existing structures. You know, when I say existing structures, I mean, we have nonprofits and elements that's in place on 79th Street that is there currently that help facilitate and grow businesses and bring them and attract them to the 6th Ward. We have to pass out the messaging of that. You know, and one of the things I feel is, as a professional, and I'm gonna speak to this as a professional, a lot of things that go on in the 6th Ward is sometimes, well, not just the 6th Ward, but a lot of things that go on is during times where working people aren't able to be involved. So we have to have opportunities for people to come and learn and be engaged during the evening hours. We have to have opportunities for people to come and learn and engage during weekends.
Right.
So, you know, so whether it's the Chatham Business Association, which exists, you know, Chamber of Commerce, we have to have things during times when just people aren't, you know, doing off times. So that's A. You know, but education is key. But also, my next step in plan about attracting businesses to the 6th Ward is also something that impacts quality of life. We have to clean the ward up. We have to clean the ward up at the end of the day. You know, we have to make sure, you know, that we're having an approach towards, you know, blighted properties, you know, and we have to use all power of the office, you know, to fight to get, you know, to hold property owners accountable, you know, to make sure that things are boarded up. And we have to reimagine, you know, the existing structures. Just because something is, you know, vacant right now, we have to reimagine what we can do with that. This is something that could be covered up, that we can give opportunities to local artists. Now it's beautified, so now it's something that was, you know, a negative is now a positive, and now it's more welcoming to somebody that wants to open up a business. I'm gonna be quite honest with you. It's something I teach my daughter when I'm talking about entrepreneurship. We could ride down 79th Street, and there's been a number of shuttered businesses, But we can't just. This was somebody's dream. This is something that somebody probably, had life savings and different things. So it's a lesson in that, But also, as that place currently exists, we have to reimagine what we can do with that. But we have to clean the ward up. And again, that takes, the formation of those block clubs. Mm-hmm. That takes having programs for our young people. That takes community. Right. And something that I did share, of course, I've been in education 11 and 12 years now. I worked for the Postal Service for about 3 years, mm-hmm. and I got an opportunity to go through the neighborhood in Logan Square. I got the opportunity to walk through those blocks in Jefferson Park and different communities, and I see how they handle their community. And they take a more active approach in the community. When something needs to be done, they don't just sit back. They complain. They take it to the right person. And we have to do the same thing. We can't just be saying things that don't mean things. We have to get up and be engaged and involved. Even with meal delivery, at the end of the day, if we don't complain to the appropriate people, then we're going to continue to suffer in those areas. Mm-hmm. We can't just talk about it and, type it online. We have to call the appropriate people. We have to make complaints to the appropriate people. People have to see and know that we care and that we're not just talking. And then we'll start seeing things differently. But cleaning up the ward is a big part of attracting and maintaining those small businesses. So every ounce of power that I have as the alderman, I want to make sure that we keep a clean ward. This is me, myself, my family, my son and my daughter. We went out with garbage can with our own resources and helped clean, not just my block, but different areas of the community. From Inglewood, I've done that. From 79th Street, we've done that. And it wasn't for attention or anything. Mm-hmm. It wasn't for pictures or anything. We've done that. So we have to clean the ward up. We have to make sure that it looks attractive, and then developers and small business will, could see that this is something they want to be a part of.
I like that. Okay. I think we talked about the plan for improvement for schools. Mm-hmm. We talked about that. And so my final question from the audience is, at the end of the day, why do you feel like you are the best candidate?
For me, I think, of course I'm biased towards myself, but as a taxpayer, as a city resident, as someone that's been a part of this city, I'm a lifelong Chicagoan. I've lived in a number of different communities, from undergraduate years. I lived right off campus in Auburn Gresham, my years at Chicago State. Mm-hmm. I grew up on the west side. I've been a homeowner in Chatham almost 10 years. I'm very in tune to things that impact me, So as far as me wanting to be a leader in the community and an alderman, I feel like the representation that I've had, I feel like the representation that I have does not reflect what we can have. That's mm-hmm. A. B, when I look at the city council as a whole, I don't see anyone, I don't think it's anyone that exists that has the unique experience of working, in the areas that I've worked in, or serving in the areas that I've served in. And that's, for anyone who doesn't know, I've served and worked, what I consider the trenches. I've worked with families. I understand uniquely what that single mother feel like. I understand uniquely what that single father feel like. Mm-hmm. I understand uniquely what that young person is going through on a daily basis. And not only have I worked in that area, I've worked to problem solve, in administration, making administrative decisions. Also in that position, I've worked with outside organizations. A big part of my job is going out to outreach, whether it's been Catholic Charities or Breakthrough Ministries or Chatham, Greater Chatham Alliance, or whatever that organization has been. We've worked, I've served on the local school council. I've sat in those packed meetings, so this is the experience, having those tough conversations. It's not easy work, having those tough conversations, people say, well, that doesn't mean, as an administration, we balance budgets, it's a number of different things, but my investment, I feel the biggest investment that we can make is in our people. Mm-hmm. They said, somebody told me, they said, man, listen, the 6th Ward want a developer. And I said, I am a developer. I'm just a developer of young people.
Come on now.
You know, at the end of the day, but that's the experience that I think is very unique, man. And if you don't have a person that understands the challenges that people face, if you don't have a person that understands, have an understanding of that, then it's just gonna, people gonna say, education, but do they really understand what MTSS is and how to improve education? They don't, at the end of the day. So it is not just education, but at the end of the day, it's all tied together. So I don't know of anybody that serves currently or anyone that's running in my race that has a unique experience of that. And I think that's what I've been passionate about, and I'll continue to serve regardless, but at the end of the day, it's valuable. It's a valuable mindset. It's a valuable approach. I would love to be able to stand, in city council. It's people that say they are fighting for families, but that's something I've been doing for the last 10 plus years. Mm-hmm. And you have to have somebody that has that experience of doing so.
Got it. So now I just want to kind of get to and then I'll let you go. I know you're a busy man. I just want to ask. I have 4 questions, but I'll ask 2.
Sure.
Through this experience, campaigning, mm-hmm. what have you learned about yourself?
But to be quite honest, this was you asked me, did I see myself running for elected office? I never really did. Mm-hmm. But what I learned about myself is that I can do anything that I put my mind to. At the end of the day, sometimes as a person that I work with young people, I work with families, I don't want to keep saying young people, but I do. But I work with adults as well. Mm-hmm. I coach professionals. I work with professional educators, college educated. Mm-hmm. I work with them as well. What I've learned is that sometimes you have to take your own advice. So some of the time out, I'm observing, I'm problem solving, I'm doing things for other people, and I've learned sometimes I have to take my own advice, and that's something it takes you to be able to reflect. So in this life, it's like we only got, people say life is short. We have to step up and be bold. We have to step up and step out. And I think the powers that be, and a lot of people, they don't want to see as much as you think people want you to be successful, it's just not one of those things, man. Mm-hmm. And if anything were having, you have to step up and take it, mm-hmm. again. So as much as I would think that, the city of Chicago would want to see, an educated black man that's a father, that's a husband, that's, a professional, step up and be in leadership, to be quite honest, man, people don't want to see you coming for whatever reason. So it's like you have to fight. You have to fight at the end of the day. So it hasn't always been a positive experience. It's positive, but you don't get the best feeling. But you have to stay passionate about the cause and the purpose that you have. So what I've learned is that, anything we're having, you have to really fight for it. Mm-hmm. You have to really fight for it. And I'm reminded, one of the reasons I continue to work, to be quite honest with you, is because I'm reminded every day that I go in while I'm doing it. Mm-hmm. And to see the look on those kindergartners' face and the young people and just those mothers that say, hey, Mr. Briggs, whatever you need to do with my kid, you can do it because I trust you. That's what I'm doing it for. And that's what I've learned. We have to keep pushing.
Okay. I can appreciate that. What is your advice to someone like you? So people always ask the question, what would you advise a younger you? So I'm not asking that. What I'm asking is, somebody is watching this video right now, mm-hmm. and they aspire to do what you're doing. Right. Or something similar. Right. What's your advice to them?
First thing I would tell them is, before you get into all the different components and elements of things that can get confusing and maybe, even discourage you, people have to understand and know that they can. You can do it. You could do what I'm doing and even go further than, I could even imagine it going. They can. The game is set up and it's meant to kind of, make you feel like, oh, this is too much for me to do. And it's not. You could do it. That's so I encourage anybody. A big part of me, another thing is about me is, it's money in politics. So a lot of times when people learn things about politics, they're not just gonna tell it to you for free because they can get paid in doing it.
Mm-hmm.
But just myself, anything that I know, I've always kind of shared it with others, no matter what it's been about. So whether it's been about resources in the community, I share it.
Mm-hmm.
But I want anybody that's under the sound of my voice, anybody that's listening to know, you could do it. And I don't want to, it's like cliche as, you hear, you can do anything you put your mind to, which you can. But I want anybody that's listening to me to know that, it's not easy. You have to be prepared. You have to study. It's a lot of elements that come to it. I want to make things sound like it's just, you could just walk into it.
Mm-hmm.
Anything worth having, you have to fight for it and you have to educate yourself. You want to be articulate about issues. But it's right there for you. We're going up in a time when people are accessible. You can send a DM to your favorite celebrity.
Right.
But you got we're in the age of YouTube. You any candidate that's running or any candidate that ran in the past, you can go to the Chicago Tribune and you can look at their answers. You can look at what they said the last 3 elections, so you know how to answer a question. The thing is, so you just have to be confident. I say put God first and foremost. Put God first. Surround yourself with people that have done it. Ask questions. I teach my daughter this. Number one thing, ask questions. Any man, whether it's Barack Obama, any man walking this earth, they put their pants on the same way me and you do. Nobody is a bit, ask questions, don't be afraid. And that's one of the biggest lessons I took away from being around elected officials. I started, and they no different than, I could do, So I'm not taking away from what people do. It's some very brilliant, it's some great leaders in this city. But I could be one of those leaders as well. And and anybody under the sound of my voice, they could be one of those leaders as well. So you just have to kind of know it.
Okay. Very good. I want to thank you so very much, Mr. Briggs, for coming today to Battling with Brandi. Was this the first podcast you did?
It's not. I've done, I just did the Shy podcast. They just chopped it up, so that's coming out. Really excited about that.
Okay.
They laid it out, so that's coming out. I've done Unapologetic. I've done Reasonable Ignorance. So we got a few podcasts coming out.
Okay.
This is the time. I just did Progressive Minds Radio. So I got to blast that out. I just did that with Angie Mims. And I got a few other things. I'm actually headed over for the do WVON. I'm supposed to do. I may be doing a few other things, coming up. So it's what it's about, just getting the message and the word out. They don't give us no time in these forums to answer questions.
Yeah.
So, what I'm going to do is, put it on my platform for anybody that's interested in knowing, my thoughts that's longer than 30 seconds.
Right.
So we'll put it out there. It won't be because the information wasn't there.
Right.
Thank
you so much again for coming. This was exciting and very informative. I appreciate you answering the questions thoroughly today. And I can't wait until you come back as the alderman.
Absolutely. I want to say, like I said, man, people have to educate themselves. We had these elections right in the middle of wintertime. Right now, the guess is that it's going to be a low voter turnout. And, these are the people that really dictate and determine elements of our life. They dictate and determine, our property taxes and gas taxes and all these different elements that impact us and where our children can go to school at and what our schools have. These are not things that we should sit out. So we have to be more engaged. We have to be more educated, and we have to, kind of feel, more a part of what's going on. We can't allow the powers that be to just control our lives. We have to take control of it. And that's one of the reasons I'm stepping up. That's one of the reasons I'm stepping up and I'm stepping out, and I continue to, whether it's a vote for me or somebody else, I just feel like people need to be engaged. And I'm going to tell people, hey, February 28th, if you live in the 6th Ward, if you got family members in the 6th Ward, tell them punch 61. Because you punching for somebody that's, going to have good character, integrity, that understands, regular, issues of our people. But at the end of the day, I say just get out and be engaged, but that's really what it is. You know,
For
that's really
sure.
what it is.
Okay.
I want to thank you as well for giving me an opportunity to come out.
Absolutely.
You know, having a platform to give people, small minutes. I watched you. You know, I encourage you to continue doing what you do.
Thank you.
And
I try. Thank you guys so very much for listening and for watching. For you guys over there on live, thank you guys so much for tapping in. And until next time, thanks for babbling with me. Bye. That was good.
Appreciate it, man.
Ma, did you listen? Oh, she got company. Okay, 47 minutes. We did good.
Yeah, man. That's what's up.
All right, you felt good about it?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. That's what it's about, man. I'm finna go, give me something to eat. And I gotta get down here to WUN. And then I'm going, I went through, because I've been off.